Back again. Thanks for checking out the channel. My name is Josh, and if you click the thumbnail, then you know we're talking about the Munsters. So the semi-highly anticipated, perhaps some might say, the Munsters reboot movie from Rob Zombie. This is one that I definitely did a trailer. I did a trailer review for it. I didn't do an actual reaction to it, but my review of it was not very glowing. So this one was kind of a watch, and I'm like, well, I did grow up with the Munsters and I really did like them, but man, that trailer looked pretty harsh. So I figured, you know what? And then it got bounced around a little bit. I heard that, because I think it was made by, I can't remember if it was Warner Brothers or like HBO or one of those, and then they sold the rights of it to Netflix. And I was like, okay, well, if you didn't want it on your own service, what's happening here? But figured still give it a shot. So it just came out not long ago. Gave it a watch. Turns out it is a movie, clearly, but I didn't know earlier on if it was going to be a show or not, and I have to say, I actually liked it a little bit. As odd as it sounds based off of what my reaction was from the actual trailer. First things first, whoever made the trailer, I don't know what the plan was, because the trailer to me is a horrible representation, or everything is kind of taken out of context and it's made to look just horrible. And all of the stuff that's in the trailer is absolutely in the movie. Not to say it's not, but when you take things out of context and you introduce them and you take away a lot of the music and the sound and stuff like that, it just looks really, really odd and awful. And I will say, to me, and again, of course, this is my interpretation of this, and I was watching it with my girlfriend Amber, who's also, her family grew up with the Munsters, and they're big fans, and we both kind of came out saying the same thing. We're just like, well, you know, if you were literally going to take this as a kids movie, and if you were taking it as the Munsters were kind of originally filmed and shown as, you know, just kind of a kooky family that doesn't really know what's going on, everything is kind of happy-go-lucky, there's some, you know, there's some dark parts to it and that they are monsters and stuff like that, but everything is that I can remember is very family friendly, and there's quite a few things that the actual show has going for it, the movie has going for it. For me, a lot of the things that, again, were concerns early on kind of turned out to be kind of nice. The vibrant colors in this is really cool. I really appreciated it. Originally, when you see like the trailer, and it had, you know, they had Herman Munster, and it had like the really weird looking mask and stuff like that. That's who he is, and that's what it is in here. It looks very much so like, again, when you grow up and you're thinking of the Universal monsters, because pretty much all of them are in here too. That's what they look like, and that's exactly what they look like here. It's not, I don't know, again, the trailer really threw me off. It really threw me off, thinking it was trying to be something else than it is, and this is legitimately kind of just like a straightforward family movie. The movie synopsis, more or less, is basically this is the creation of the Munsters, so the family of the Munsters, from Lily and Grandpa and Herman coming together in very interesting way that makes sense in, you know, a Monsterverse sort of way. I appreciated a lot of the story aspects and how they tied some things together. The actors that are in this, it's interesting because there's so many people that have been in most of the Rob Zombie movies, from the professor, I think his name was Dr. Wolfgang, or basically he's playing the Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein character. He's been in a bunch of Rob Zombie movies and is a good actor, and he's very committed to being, you know, a good creepy guy. I will say that pretty much hands down across the board on this one. I thought that everybody that was actually acting, they were pretty good. I mean, they were acting their roles. Standouts to me were definitely what was the Dr. Frankenstein character. I can't remember his actual name in the movie. Grandpa Munster was awesome. He reminded me so much of the actual Grandpa, but a little from the Munsters original show, and then a little bit more. He had a good sense of humor to him, you know, definitely a little sabotage-y kind of thing. And to be honest, Lily, played by Rob Zombie's wife, or Sherry Moon Zombie, she was actually fine as Lily to me. Again, taking the context from the TV show of Lily being that character and having her mannerisms and kind of acting the way she did, I thought Sherry Moon Zombie did pretty much exactly the same. I can't really complain. She played the character pretty well. I think I personally had a little mixed feelings with Herman. Whereas I really loved the old actor that used to play him. You know, he was the big dude. I can't remember his name, but he had the really deep voice and very animated face, and, you know, the very loud, well, I mean, he was kind of like Barney or no, Fred Flintstone-ish, when he got mad or got happy. And they did bits and pieces of that, but the actor that they had playing him, I thought he did fine. I was just very used to the previous Herman. The Herman from the original one is something that clearly is in my nostalgic head. So when I see the new Herman, and he just sounds a little different and he moves a little different, which is completely fine. I mean, he still looks very much so like Herman Munster, but he's a little different sounding. He's a little higher pitched voice. He's got a different kind of sense of humor, I would say, a little bit. I mean, they still get to a lot of the same types of jokes, but again, it wasn't bad, and like, got not enough to like turn me off of the movie and be like, nah, I'm not gonna watch that. The more I actually realized as I was looking up the cast list afterwards, there's a couple of really cool kind of Easter eggs in there. One is one person that went to my high school, so we graduated from the same high school, not at the same time. There's a pretty big gap in years there, but Barbara Carr, also known as Elvira, right here, she was actually in the movie as well. I didn't realize that till after the fact, because I'm very used to seeing her as Elvira, not just as normal person. So she was in that one, and then so was Dee Wallace, apparently. And Dee Wallace, if you know her from 80s and 90s movies, 80s horror movies specifically, I mean, one that comes to my mind, I know there's a lot of other ones that would jump to people's list higher, but Critters. I absolutely love Critters, and Dee's in that one, so big win on that one. So there's some good little nods in there for folks that are fans of horror movies, as Rob Zombie is. I think the biggest takeaway from me on this one is if you take away the Rob Zombie name, like if I didn't know that was Rob Zombie movie, this is very much so just like a Disney Channel kind of kids Halloween movie, and it's not bad. The set design is really cool. I thought a lot of the sets looked really neat. Again, we talked about the colors, we started talking about it, but the bright, vibrant colors, like in the laboratories and in the different houses and the different settings, and just actually the monster little world that they lived in. I thought that all looked really good. And again, if I was a kid, if I had grown up with this version of the movie, I think it would be a classic to me. Much like, okay, I'm not saying it's as good as Ernest Scared Stupid or like Hocus Pocus or something like that, but I could imagine if you grew up with it, it wouldn't be far off in your head. Overall, I was surprised. The biggest thing that I think kind of came to this one that were the negatives, there were just a couple. One, it's pretty long. Like, it's actually an hour and 50 minutes, I think, and it definitely could have been trimmed down a good bit, or could have been made into a series, or a couple, even if it was like 4 episodes or something like that. I think that could have worked well for the story and how it kind of went to different times of their like relationship and things like that, and kind of went through them. That would have been good. And then honestly, the ending was weird. That was the biggest, just kind of odd thing. I'm not going to spoil anything if you haven't seen it yet, but basically it ends kind of on a weird note. Like, it doesn't seem like it's an ending. It could have been formed a lot better. But at the same time, if this would have been set up, and I don't know if that was this was the plan at all or not, but if this movie was to set up like a show on Netflix, I would be completely down for watching the show, at least giving it a shot. Again, if you liked the Munsters from the old school Munsters, that was in black and white, then I think you'll like this one. It's just got a little brighter colors. Again, the sense of humor is pretty much the same. There's a little bit of updated stuff in there. There's a little bit of adult humor, and I mean like a little bit. Like, I think the kids will definitely, it'll go right over their head, but I don't know. This sounds really odd. This is nothing like I planned on saying. I'm not saying it's a wonderful movie. It's not a wonderful movie. But I could see it as being a good Halloween movie. I mean, there's a theme around Halloween when they're moving and stuff like that, and it did hit some of those nostalgic buttons for me. So, and especially for being a free movie on Netflix, not too bad. Especially from the trailer that came out. You gotta be kidding me. I don't know what the person that was editing that thought or what the purpose of it was, unless it was literally to get people talking about how bad it looked, so it would actually drive them to want to watch it, maybe. I mean, it worked for me because that is exactly what happened, but I don't know if that's a very strong marketing campaign or strategy. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Did you appreciate it? Have you watched it? Are you going to give it a chance? Let me know. Again, I'm sure there's a bunch of people that really don't like this one because it is a very odd-paced kind of sense of humor thing. But to me, it was exactly kind of like it was when the show came out. So if you like that, you'll probably like that nowadays. It's just not the twisty turnies. There's not some big reveal of this or that. It's just a pretty straightforward story, a monster love story. So if you want to see that one, I'd recommend giving it a shot. It's not that bad. don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. That would be fantastic. And don't forget, you're awesome. Peace out.